Everybody wants a promotion, more money, more responsibility, a better title, but most people spend more time wondering why they haven't gotten promoted than becoming the person who deserves one. 4 months after I started a brand new career, I got promoted to a manager. It wasn't because I knew somebody, it wasn't because I was smarter than anyone else. It came down to a handful of habits that almost everyone can choose to build, and today I want to share exactly what those were. I'm the chatty goose. Worked 6 years at a different job, decided to leave, started completely over, had no special experience, and in just 4 months, I got promoted. I was very nervous when I switched over to the new job. I it was sales. I had no experience in the industry. I knew how to talk to people, but didn't know how to sell anything. But I knew that I wanted to work hard. I wanted to show up early, and I that's exactly what I did. I showed up early. I showed up 20, 30 minutes early every day. Made sure I was one of the first ones in the door. Woke up chipper. Made sure I got my caffeine in early. Went in prepared. Usually studied before, trying to learn more about sales. Also made some phone calls before anybody else was really in the door. I wasn't rushing around, wasn't, getting there a minute or two before you were supposed to be and then having a customer right off. I wanted to really show up early. And, the funny thing is, almost nobody notices when you're early, but everybody notices when you're late. And it definitely makes, a huge difference to the higher ups that are paying attention to that. Another main thing is making sure you are staying consistent throughout the day. Make sure you're getting all your work done, not scrolling on TikTok, staying productive when there's about an hour left. That's usually when people start to, die down. People stop really working with the last hour. They get to talking, doing water cooler talks, this and that. Stay productive. I save the last hour to really knock out, 10, 15 more phone calls. I always made sure I had the most phone calls in. I'd figure out if things needed to be done for the next day ahead of time, and I'd make sure they were done before they even had to be done. I'd see if other people needed help, finishing things up. I would just always find a way to be useful the last hour. Again, wasn't trying to impress anybody, just wanted to work hard. It was something that I had learned at my previous job and brought that forward to the my next career and found it really helped me succeed at it. I always wanted to kind of be the hardest worker in the room. I wanted to become a dependable employee and someone that other people could rely on. And, the managers, I felt like I was someone that could be managed quite easily. They didn't have to wonder where I was. They didn't catch me scrolling on my phone. I didn't take half-hour bathroom breaks. I just did what I was told, and I did it fast. I did it without having to be told again, you know, and that's, managers, people that own businesses, that's who people look to promote most of the time. People that show up early, do the task they're asked, don't complain, you learn quickly, you work hard, you don't create problems. It's the easy people to promote, and it definitely helped me a lot. But it's very important you don't get a ego. You ask questions, you listen, especially to people that have these years of experience that you don't. You learn, you listen, you take everything in. A big thing I learned at my previous career was don't just blow people off that give you advice because it really will set you back. And they were really hard about that in my previous career. And I took that into this one and just felt like I should be a sponge and soaked up all the experience I could of all the people around me that had experience. It's not your job to prove that you're smarter than one other person or do this or that. It's your job to learn faster than everybody else and show that you're learning quickly and make sure that it shows in your work. I wasn't the best at my job, but I made sure I was doing the process correctly and doing things in order, not skipping simple tasks like my other coworkers were. And I definitely got lucky because they weren't looking for a manager. It wasn't like I was excelling at exactly what I was doing, but they were looking for a manager at that time, and I definitely got lucky that they were, and they picked the person that they felt was the most mature and could do the most around the office, without them having to keep an eye on them, and without having to, keep telling them what to do. And the promotions don't happen, the day you get promoted. It's the weeks, the months earlier where they're noticing all these things. The management team has already noticed that you're working harder, you're paying attention, they're not having to ask you to do things over and over again. It happens every day. They see your hard work, you showing up early, you doing the tasks correctly. But it was also very important when I did get promoted that my coworkers that I worked with for the 4 months, I didn't want them to be upset, and my managers also took that into account. Most people, accepted it pretty well. A couple didn't, but you move on, and you make sure that your ego's in check. You're not being an asshole. You're being fair, and you're learning how to manage those people as well. I Not every company rewards hard work, but I want you guys to realize that, if you don't get those promotions years and years in advance, the hard work still will get noticed at some point. It's very important that you keep working hard and you keep trying to push farther and farther to get, farther ahead in life. And even if it's not in that same job, I had a job for 6 years. I got out because I did not see it really going anywhere, and it definitely worked out in my benefit. And I think, maybe you leave one job to try to, get a little bit higher over in this other job. That's okay as well. You should always be willing to better yourself and not be scared to take that leap of faith, ever at all. Stay humble, show up, do all the things that are meant to happen, and eventually the opportunity will find you. If you leave one job and you work hard in that other job, just like you were in your last job, someone will notice. And me getting promoted in 4 months wasn't some magic. It was just me showing up early, the same mindset every day, not throwing fits, just doing what I'm told, being in control of yourself. And your managers will see that, and they will, people talk about that. There's meetings at work where they talk about the hardest workers. And now that I'm part of those meetings, you don't realize the things that are being said in the back offices. And people notice. People are definitely noticing you pushing yourself harder and harder and harder. And the main breakdown is you don't control when someone promotes you, but you do control whether you're someone worth promoting. And I think it's very important for people to realize that. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I would love to know one habit that has helped you guys succeed at work. If you are enjoying my videos, the career, finances, and life advice, please make sure to leave me a subscription down below, and give me a like. Thank you.